Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. Dear God, my God, I am thine eternally. Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. Dear God, my God, I am thine eternally.
The voice of God calls us to awaken him. How will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready.
And when he asks us to dedicate our lives ever more perfectly to him, how will he find us?
Awake and ready.
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
friend, beloved God,
friend, beloved God,
great masters,
great masters,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
we humbly bow before thee
we humbly bow before
and
thee
invoke your presence.
and invoke your presence.
Bless us,
Bless us,
that we may become absorbed
that we may become absorbed
in your holy presence,
in your holy presence,
in your living water,
in your living water,
and share your blessings
and share your blessings
in our daily life.
in our daily life.
We are thine.
We are thine.
Be thou eternally ours.
Be thou eternally ours.
Om. Peace. Amen. Happy 4th of July weekend.
Every morning when I greet the sun, when I move forth through crowded ways, in my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. When I laugh, oh, and when I cry with pain, when my best friends misunderstand, in my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. Dear God, my God, I am thine eternally. Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. Dear God, my God, I am thine eternally. Though my path lead me over desert sands, though it take me through bitter storms, in my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. When I'm working and when in earned repose, let come victory or low defeat, in my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee.
As we continue to meditate, listen to these words on our affirmation for this week. Consideration for others. Consideration for others is one of the marks of a refined spirit. Many people on the spiritual path feel that since it is within that they are seeking the kingdom of God, And since they are working at developing a spirit of non-attachment, it doesn't matter how they express themselves to others. Indeed, their inconsiderateness is an affirmation of their independence of the opinions and feelings of others. If God is pleased, they tell themselves, what matters the displeasure of man? Yet by unkindness we can never please God, who is all kindness itself. Sensitivity to others is a way of self-expansion. One truly achieves freedom in himself when he can respect their realities because he is wholly at peace with his own. And now let's affirm together, first in a strong voice, all the while keeping the attention at the point between the eyebrows. By sensitivity to others' realities,
By sensitivity to others' realities,
I keep myself in readiness
I keep myself in readiness
to perceive the truth,
to perceive the truth,
no matter what garb it wears.
no matter what garb it wears.
And taking it a little softer. By sensitivity to others' realities,
By sensitivity to others' realities,
I keep myself in readiness
I keep myself in readiness
to perceive the truth,
to perceive the truth,
no matter what garb it wears.
no matter what garb it wears.
And now in a whisper with even deeper focus, by sensitivity to others' realities,
By sensitivity to others' realities,
I keep myself in readiness
I keep myself in readiness
to perceive the truth,
to perceive the truth,
no matter what garb it wears.
no matter what garb it wears.
And now silently broadcasting from the point between the eyebrows, by sensitivity to others' realities, I keep myself in readiness to perceive the truth, no matter what garb it wears. By sensitivity to others' realities, I keep myself in readiness to perceive the truth, no matter what garb it wears. And pray silently with me. Divine Mother, I worship Thee in all Thy forms, both ignorant and wise. Finding Thee within, may I behold Thee enshrined in omnipresence. Om. Peace. Amen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Sunday service. And for those visiting, welcome. I'm Dharmadevi, and this is my husband Narayan. Welcome those online. And I'm reading to you from Rays of the One Light Weekly Commentaries on the Bible and Bhagavad Gita by Swami Ananda. And this is week 27, Abiding in God. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your depth itself within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Yogananda often emphasized, more often to his disciples than to the general public, but also to everyone generally, for it was a universal teaching, the importance of attunement. For divine understanding cannot be created, it must be perceived. To the disciples, Yogananda spoke of the importance of attunement with the Guru. To others, he urged the importance, at least, of attuning oneself to higher consciousness. Can an eagle rise without support from the sustaining air? Jesus Christ said in the Gospel of St. John, chapter 15, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me ye can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples. How can we abide in him? Jesus says, if my words abide in you. By words he meant not only his spoken words, but his vibrations, his consciousness, of which the words are only an expression. We must abide by the teachings, but we must also absorb those teachings into ourselves, that they become our own experience. For disciples of this path, the more in their hearts they live consciously in the presence of the Masters, the more they will find the divine presence living within them. And for all truth seekers, whether disciples or not, the more they live sustained inwardly by the awareness of God's presence, the higher they will find themselves soaring in wisdom and joy. For the Bhagavad Gita says in the 10th chapter, I am the source of everything. From me all creation emerges. Blessed with this realization, the wise, awe-stricken, adore me. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
It's a heavy topic this morning, so I have books with me. I want to start with Whispers from Eternity. Demand for fervor in divine love. Teach me, O Spirit, to love thee as wholeheartedly as the miser loves money. Make me as attached to thee as the drunkard is addicted to wine. Teach me to cling to thee as erring ones do to their bad habits. Teach me to be as attentive to thee as a mother is to her child. Teach me to perform my duties diligently, with my attention fully riveted on thee. Teach me to love thee as the worldly man loves his possessions, with the first love of true lovers. Teach me to love thee. You know, it's interesting that Whispers from Eternity, that final line there, teach me to love thee with my attention fully. Hi, Kemi. Welcome back. Hey, Oz. Hello. Welcome, guys. Please come. We had our Kriya prep class yesterday, and Zoe was asking, how do I have the challenge of remaining concentrated in meditation. And I don't think she's alone in this question. At least I can share that challenge as well. You know, all of us have this challenge of our mind wanting to not concentrate in meditation. And why is that? Because, well, it's restless, and we're learning through the science and art of meditation to calm and focus our mind. I was reminded that Master had another affirmation that was similar to this Whispers that we just read, where he said, teach me to own again, own again, my matter-souled mind and brain, that I may give it to thee in prayer and ecstasy. And my father was a salesman. His father before him was a salesman. But I grew up in this Italian family culture of, always be closing, son. I'm not joking. In fact, one time my father called me, God rest his soul, and he would leave these really fun voicemails, just like gruffy East Coast Italian voices. Son, call me back. You know the number. It's about business. I thought business was like 2 syllables. He had turned it into 3 syllables. But if we think about what is God, and Master used to say, God is. The desire of our heart, the way that Swami Sri Yukteswar put it, is that your heart, the true desires of our heart are sat, chit, ananda, business. Business. This is the business of God. It's the sat, it's the chit, it's the ananda. Sat is existence, chit is consciousness, ananda is that bliss. That is the true desire of our heart. And our heart, what did St. Augustine say? Our hearts are restless, Lord, until they find their rest in thee. That's why we're restless in meditation, because we're still flittering around. And we have to get resolved that actually, no, this is what I really want. And to clarify and purify our hearts in this way is of the utmost importance. How we do that, of course, is the practice of yoga. And if we could just, Jyotish used to put the stages of meditation very simply. Relax, concentrate, expand. Really, that is what we're trying to do in meditation. I remember when I was working in New York once, there's all sorts of commuter glory in New York. The train, the bus, the subway, cab shares, all this sort of thing. And I remember one time I was on my way back home and I was getting on the bus at Port Authority. And everyone gets like shoveled in there like sardines. And once the bus is full, the next one goes. It's very New York. It's very efficient. And so I was right up at the end, just about to get on, and there was a woman in front of me who was, trying to get on, and the bus conductor who counted the numbers, and then he stopped people before they would get on. He's like, "Lady, relax, relax, relax." I never forgot that. That's not the way that we induce relaxation. When Swami was in Italy, before he knew Italian fluently, he was leading a meditation, and he had a translator, and he was, saying, then his Swami, if you heard his voice, Swami is this liquid peace, beautiful voice, and he was saying, "Now, feel the peace." And the translator, "Sente la pace." And then Swami said, "I've got to learn this language." But the language that we are trying to learn is the language of God. And that's what this reading is talking about, right? If I abide in you, and you abide in me, if my word abides in you, remember that word isn't what churchianity is telling us. Well, if you believe in Jesus Christ, if you follow this scripture, the real acceptance, the real word we're talking about here is the cosmic vibration, right? It's the Divine Mother. It's becoming so absorbed in that vibration of Divine Mother that she abides in us, that Christ abides in us, his word, her word abides in us. And that word comes to life. This is actually what really gives us freedom. Because we're coming up on Independence Day, it's good for us to reflect on the true nature of freedom, right? It's not just to do what you please to do. It's not just to follow your whims and fancies. True freedom is being able to follow the dictate of wisdom. And what do the wise do? What do the great ones do? They seek God first. They love God. Just like the miser is attached to money, they love him. Like the drunkard is addicted to his wine, they love him. And remember too that Divine Mother and the Masters are on our side. They are supporting it. Master had that one man who was a Kriya yogi. He used to have his whiskey bottle in one hand and his Kriya mala in the other. And he would take the hit of whiskey, and then he would do a Kriya. And eventually the Kriya became more addicting than the wine. Remember what he said to Herb Jeffries when Herb Jeffries came? Do you smoke? Yes. You may continue. Do you drink? Yes. You may continue. Do you go around promiscuously with the opposite sex? Yes. You may continue. But if you follow these teachings, I can't promise you that those things won't drop away. That's why the important thing is to love God, to become more absorbed in God's presence. It's like that reading Dharmadevi was sharing last week about the tares, the wheat and the tares when the harvest comes, right? That the harvest of the divine light, it's that power of the Divine Mother, right? Her sound and her vibration. That's what purifies us. Now, how we deepen our attunement to God, well, when those of us that do feel this connection with the path of Kriya Yoga and this line of gurus, remember, this is not another sect, this is not another church. It's that when our heart calls out, that God sends that awakened sun for our enlightenment, for our liberation. So it's through our attunement. This is where, attunement is this topic that we come back to again and again on the spiritual path. That when we can feel that the smile in our heart, that we know when we feel God's presence, right? We don't need anyone to tell us. Not like when you meditate and you have a beautiful experience, a divine experience, that you get out your notebook and you start taking notes. I mean, you may have inspirations. I'm not saying, I know Jill writes, so you might get inspirations and things like that. But my point is, it's the smriti, it's the divine memory, right? It's who and what we are. It's already there within us. This is one of the most inspiring things for us to meditate on. Like our friend asked a saint, she said, well, when will I become self-realized? And she said, well, you are self-realized. You just haven't realized it yet. That's where our work lies, right? And just removing, just uncovering all of the self-definitions that we've piled onto ourselves. And this is where the science of yoga is so incredibly powerful for us. That when we can practice non-attachment in the truest sense, and of course what we're attached to is the body and the personality, and breaking that hypnotism, that's where the yoga science comes in. Literally, the techniques of Hong Sa and Kriya Yoga, right, are helping you to cut that cord. The cord that ties the body, the soul to the body is the breath. And those techniques in particular, right, are helping you to cut that cord of the breath. This is like the ingenious practicality of the yogis. They're saying, you breathe, well, use your breath in a way for liberation. So if we can attune ourselves through the practice of the techniques with reverence, with devotion, and attune, it's not just in the techniques, of course, it's our whole life to the consciousness of the great ones. That's why I love that book. And Master he wouldn't give out many books, but there was one book that he gave to the monks, The Imitation of Christ. Just the name of that book is inspiring. It's not that, we're imitating them outwardly, it's imitating inwardly. Inwardly attuning our heart, our consciousness to the great ones. How would they act? What does God want me to do here in this moment, in this situation with this person? We get so caught up, right? And what am I going to be doing with my life? What's my great plan? I think because we're in Hollywood too, there's some of that general consciousness that there's going to be some blaze of glory. But remember what Master said, the minutes are more important than the years. It's just in that, every moment is a gift. Our friend was saying he saw his little girl, and that opened up he felt Divine Mother's presence, through his child in that moment. It's like Einstein said, right? Either everything can be a miracle, or this can just be all mechanics and it's meaningless. Everything is either full of meaning or meaningless. So And like when someone challenged Master in that way, well, how do you know there's a God? Well, he said, I'm happier actually feeling that there is one. But it goes deeper than that. That then we begin to feel and know God's presence. And we feel him in our heart. And then we can offer our heart in scientific union at the spiritual eye. And then we begin to feel that our life, we've fallen into this new rhythm, right? There's a new drum beat. I remember I was at some kind of concert, and my friend and I, it was before the concert had started, and there was just this spontaneous eruption of applause and joy, like for no reason. And my friend and I found ourselves like in the epicenter of this, and everyone just started like clapping and cheering, and it was like this, it was quite a fun experience. But you know, it died. This is the way of worldly joy. It gives you a little taste of it, but then it goes away. We want Sat, Chit, Ananda. We want that true business. We want it to last, right? We want the ever existing, ever conscious, ever new joy of God. And the way that comes to us is not by thinking about ourselves, giving ourselves away. That's why Swami coupled this reading, which seems right so deep, abiding in God, sitting in spirit, with consideration for others, expanding our sense of self, breaking that fancy frozen boundary until our heart becomes so broad, becomes so expansive. It's like Masters chant divine love sorrow, evermore moving towards thee, to thy vast, unthrobbing heart. But let's move together towards the unthrobbing heart of God. I want to close with this story of Radha and Krishna. And there's this one story where Krishna had a headache. Some of you may recall this story. And all the gopis were there with him. And they didn't know how can we help Krishna? How can we help relieve his headache? And he said, if someone would just stand on my forehead, then my headache would go away. And they were all aghast. We cannot put our feet on the Lord's head. This is sacrilegious. So they were afraid to do it. And then Radha, who wasn't there at that time, she came and she said, what's the matter with my Lord? As he was laid down in anguish. And the gopi said, well, he has a headache and he's suffering. And he's asked us to put our feet on his head. But we can't do that. This is sacrilegious to the Lord. And she said, well, my God, if that's all that the Lord wants, and if it will relieve his headache, I'll do it at once. And she ran over and put her feet standing on his forehead. And it relieved Krishna from his headache. And he said, I wanted to show you the mark of a true devotee, that he doesn't think of in terms, it's not seeking God in fear, or what if, it's just seeking God out of pure love, out of pure giving. So let's give our hearts and our lives to God, and we too will abide in him forever and ever. God bless you.